Oh, identitarians. I've been talking quite a bit about them for a little while now because there's been a ton of stuff in the news relating to this kind of politics. And you've seen the past several videos I've done, I've focused on tweets from Nick Monroe, who was finding all these anti-white posts from various news outlets. So I've made videos about it. But today, we're going to talk about the complete and utter insanity that is a CNN contributor claiming that Antifa is an African-American group and trying to make criticism of Antifa racist. Seriously. They're trying to claim that if you are critical of Antifa going around bashing people over the head with bike locks and things to that effect, you're a racist because Antifa is predominantly African-American, which it is not, but that's apparently what happened. So let's look at the Daily Wire here. CNN gives the most insane defense of Antifa ever. Twitter explodes. This is from yesterday. CNN analyst Jeffrey Toobin claimed on Tuesday that any criticism of the violent far-left group Antifa was based on President Donald Trump's appeal to racism. Interesting. The CNN segment was focused on discussing Trump's recent remarks to a group of Christian leaders that if Republicans lose this November, there could be widespread violence. Let's be clear. Also about what's going on here. The theme here is, I'm Donald Trump and I'll protect you from the scary black people. Toobin claimed on CNN. Antifa is widely perceived as an African-American organization, and this is just part of the same story of LeBron James and Don Lemon and Maxine Waters and the NFL players and the UCLA basketball players. What? I'm losing it. I'm losing it. The insanity. You know, you're going to watch me grow increasingly more unhinged as we enter the midterm elections because the lies are going crazy. Everybody's going to lie because it's all about the win. There's a period after the elections where we can sit back and people are kind of chill and the seat, it goes way down. But we're going uphill now, and deception and lies and manipulation are going to become, whoo! Like the video I just made before this about the gubernatorial candidate in Florida where they claimed monkey it up was racist. Now they're claiming that criticizing Antifa is racist. Dear Lord. While many Antifa supporters dress in all black, known as Black Bloc, the group is not widely perceived as an African-American organization. And no, it's not. It's a bunch of white people. In fact, video from a CNN special report suggests that Antifa is overwhelmingly comprised of young white people. Additional reports from CNN, The Washington Post, and USA Today make no mention of Antifa being a black group. The video elicited an intense reaction from Twitter and a hashtag. I don't know if the hashtag has been around before, but I saw this recently. It's called hashtag ANTIFASOWHITE. Yeah. The video elicited an intense reaction from Twitter where Toobin was widely mocked and ridiculed for being a liar. So this, Fleckas said the wheels are coming off. This person said, Lanny called in shortly after this clip and said he agreed, and called back and said he didn't. CNN has other sources, though. They still say Lanny agrees. Proof that my old edition of Merriam-Webster's dictionary is right. The only difference between lawyer and liar is 6 pages. Woo! That's a funny one. He lost me when he said Antifa is mostly black. Yeah, that's basically it. So here, we'll do this. This is the hashtag ANTIFASOWHITE. And let's we'll look at some of these photos, huh? So here's a group of white individuals, and they are they say more dead cops. And then we have this photo here. I don't know where this is from, but once again, not all of them Antifa, but some of them potentially, and more white people. Let's look at this photo. Maybe we'll find some people who aren't white in Antifa. Oh wait, no, we won't. Well, here's more Antifa. Oh, okay. Here are the mugshots from the arrests made during Charlottesville, and yeah, some of them aren't white, for sure. But you know what's weird? Is that if I were to, look, I'm going to guess, and I don't like to do this to people because they all have a relatively light complexion, but it looks like we've got about 20 people here, and it looks like we've got, let's say, I'd say about 1, 2, 3, about 3, maybe 4 people out of the bunch are not white. There may be more, it varies, but can I just point out that among these Antifa mugshots, I can notice a couple things. It's disproportionately white, right? If the United States is 62% white, and this group of arrested Antifa white people are overrepresented in Antifa. I think that's fair to say. And it's also interesting to me then because it's kind of like, are the police racist against white people because they're targeting more white anti-fascists than non-white? If we're going to argue that Antifa is actually non-white, then why are all of the arrests white people? But let's carry on the story because apparently in a secret recording that was released, Donald Trump claimed that if the Republicans lose the midterms, it's going to get violent. And you know how I was just saying that I'm going to grow increasingly crazy as time goes on? Oh yeah, it's going to get violent, hands down. Wait, he said if Republicans lose the midterms? No. It's going to get really violent if Republicans win the midterms. And perhaps Trump was trying to calm people down, but the left is getting violent, the far left, not the average left, not because they won, because they lost, because Trump is president, and because all three branches of government are dominated by Republicans, so they're going nuts. The president was heard urging Christian ministers to sway voters and alluded to left-wing violence in leaked audio. In a private meeting with Christian ministers, Donald Trump warned of violence if Republicans do not maintain control of Congress in the midterm elections, according to an audio recording of the meeting obtained by the New York Times. Well, if that's the case, Trump is wrong. If they win, they're going to party in the street, and that's it. It's victory. And this is one of the biggest criticisms the left has of itself, that they lull themselves into this sense of security. They'll get a politician in office, and then the mainstream liberals will be like, we did it, we won, it's over, and they'll stop protesting, and then the far left loses the bodies they need to create this mass. They lose the mainstream support because the left won. That's all that matters. And so up until that point, the left doesn't care, for the most part, that Antifa is doing, this crazy shit. To an extent, they do, right? You'll see Trevor Noah called them vegan ISIS, the Washington Post has called them out, Fox has called them out, so yes. But they tend to be a little bit more defensive, like CNN guy claiming that it's an African-American group and to criticize them as racist. And then you have Don Lemon running defense for them. You have, I think it was Chris Cuomo, who was kind of fair but still rather defensive of Antifa. Though we have seen, like Jake Tapper and Brian Stelter have called out Antifa for being violent. So it's interesting that Trump would say this because he's wrong. Absolutely. If the Republicans win, everything's going to go nuts. If Trump wins a second term, I hope you don't live in a city. I'm not saying civil war. I'm just saying if the Republicans maintain this control, and I gotta say right now I think they will, we can expect a lot of violence. And that's part of why I've been talking a little bit about security lately and things like that, because I'm not a prepper. I think a lot of these, I have no issue with, the freedom of the prepper community and whatever they want to do, and I'm certainly never going to engage in it. I don't even own a gun. But I do think it's fair to tell people to just keep your eyes open, because we've seen the street violence escalating. Politics has gotten so damn insane, and it feels like the divide cannot be fixed. And if that's the case, if Trump wins again, these people are going to feel like they have no choice. They've lost again, and Trump's going to maintain this position. If the Republicans maintain, their position through the midterms, it's going to get violent. Not the other way around. But obviously, Trump's got to, encourage people to advocate for him, so he's going to frame it the other way. Look, if the Democrats win, a lot of the warm bodies are going to be like, but we have the government, and Antifa's not going to have that support. So he said, you're only one election away from losing everything you've got, Trump reportedly told them. If Republicans lose Congress, they will end everything immediately, the president said, seemingly referring to the congressional Democrats. Now, okay, so that's probably true. I mean, if Democrats take control of the House, the Senate, and, if that's the case, then yeah, they're going to start voting in ways that are bad for Republicans, so that's fair. He said if Republicans lose Congress, they will, okay. He went on, they will overturn everything that we've done, and they'll do it quickly and violently, There's violence. When you look at Antifa, and you look at some of these groups, these are violent people. Right, but listen, if there are politicians who are sympathetic to Antifa in office, Antifa's not going to freak out. I mean, some of them still will. They protested Obama somewhat, not as much, and they've been extremely active since Trump's been elected. But during Occupy, we saw black bloc tactics, we saw anti-capitalists, we saw anti-fascists. It just not as prevalent because, as much as Obama is still a fascist to them, and they say liberal gets the bullet too, Trump is way worse. So, you know what, maybe I'll take that back. Yeah, there could be violence, but not at the level we're seeing right now with the right control, or the Republicans controlling everything. Trump's comments appear to echo the rhetoric of political advertisements from the right-wing National Rifle Association. In a much criticized video advertisement last year, the gun rights group used footage from street protest to paint the entire American left and all Americans who oppose Trump as violent thugs who bully and terrorize the law-abiding. The ad's incendiary rhetoric was sharply criticized, with one critic calling it a whisper shy of a call for a full civil war. So, I'm not going to go on too much longer, but is it fair to say that the entirety of the left supports Antifa? No, it's not. However, when we refer to Antifa as moderates or people who are not just the people who pay attention, the initiated, I like to call it. When we talk about Antifa, we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill, happy college liberal waving their sign saying, no fascists. Antifa specifically refers to black-clad individuals who go around beating people and sometimes with shields that read no hate. Literally. I love that. It's kind of funny. Pure irony. But there was a man in Portland who was a Bernie Sanders supporter. He voted for Hillary Clinton, and he had an American flag, so they beat him. The guy who got beat with the American flag who voted for Hillary is not Antifa. He's just a regular guy. He's a liberal. And they beat him because liberals get the bullet too, and America is fascist to them. So it's not fair to say the left all supports Antifa, because clearly this guy didn't. They beat him up. But a lot of people did not intervene, and that's the important thing to consider. When this guy was being beaten in the streets, and a guy took a club and whacked him in the back of the head, giving him a gash and there was blood everywhere, did any of the left intervene to stop Antifa? The answer is no, they didn't. And why? Because they kind of just let that stuff happen. It doesn't mean they support it, but they're certainly not going to stop it, and that's the problem. So I've never considered myself to be part of any tribe. As much as my politics align social liberal, why would I want to be associated with those people who are going to stand by while a black-clad individual bashes a guy in the back of the head with a club? The guy was one of their own, okay? No loyalty, no willpower. And that's what it's all about. Antifa, they got great willpower. They'll show up and they'll beat the crap out of people. And that's a huge problem. But the left has no willpower, and they sit by and they watch this happen. So, anyway, is Antifa an African-American organization? No. Is there going to be violence come November? If the Republicans win, heck yes. A lot of violence. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't win. It just means the Antifa is going to freak out, and my assumption is that the left is going to ignore it, or maybe even run defense for it. Anyway, I don't know if I have any more videos planned today, but stick around, I might.